Nasdaq 100 and the S&P 500. Now, yesterday we talked about this, the break, the retest, and continuation. We said it'd be very likely that if you got above 17.7 and held, that you were going to push into 17.95, 18K, and you did just that. Now, this is where things get even crazier. When we look at the broad market, we go to something like the daily. Look at what's really taking place here. Let's actually grab that volume and really maximize what you can see here. So we saw that downward kind of trend, the bear flag, and you got an increase of selling when you started to break down. But then obviously FOMC, and then yesterday as well, started to really get us that push back to the upside, mounting back out of that. But when you look at the top level of this resistance, again, I'm going to say this is the biggest line in the sand that there has been on the market in general, specifically with the Nasdaq. So when we look at that really quick, we zoom all the way back out. That's your 2021 all-time high, just to give you a visual where that is. So that's where you finally got back above, which is where you got rejected previously when you kind of dropped back to the downside. So again, when we look at the action today, very, very interesting, right? And again, this could be the start to getting a little bit of a push, because again, there was two major things we were watching for, right? Let's really cover that before we even go in depth into the video. Let's be really clear about that. One, if you broke below 17.4, very bearish. You break above 17.95 and hold, very bullish, right? So again, if we look at what took place last time we broke below 18K, you broke, retested, and you dropped basically 800, 900 points in a matter of a day or two, right? So look, you're getting back above that level. What happened the first time we broke this and really mounted it? When we broke it, mounted it the first time, really held it right here. You went from about 18K to highs of 18.4 in a matter of a day and a half, 2 days. So again, it's interesting to see where we're at and what's actually happening here. Now, today gave us a lot of clarity as well on where we're at and how we're moving. But really quick, let's go into a little bit of our sponsor.
Speaking of trading, if you've been using a basic investing app for the past few years, I highly recommend that you step it up and graduate to a better investing platform that can grow with you, which in my opinion is today's sponsor, Moomoo. Like other platforms, Moomoo has a super intuitive user interface, really easy to use, but unlike the other platforms, they have everything that you're using right at your fingertips. Whether it be your analysis tools, up-to-the-minute live data on the markets, what's happening with options data. And it's worth mentioning, while other platforms charge a premium for the quality of data that you're getting here at Moomoo, Moomoo does not charge a dime when it comes to getting live data on the charts. So for any of you that are serious about your investment journey, Moomoo's platform is worth checking out. The link is down below. It helps me out, it helps you out. If you have any questions, comment down below. Let's get back to the video.
And on top of that too, guys, I did just take a trip. If you guys remember, I took a trip down to New York. Moomoo and the team invited me and Jay down there. We were going over a few things, what was happening, and kind of the new partnerships. So they were actually lucky enough. This is all the different influencers that were able to go. We were able to meet up, connect with other people, and ultimately what's happening. So that was a really cool experience about where they were going and how they're trying to dominate in the options game and be that premier broker. But on top of that too, the cool part was, and I didn't really know this, is that they were releasing a new product called Nasdaq Total View, and they were partnering with them. And they advertise it as like level 2 data, but it's not. It's a little bit more than that, because when you really break it down and you start going into it, you can see 20 times the amount of liquidity compared to regular level 2 data, and triple the liquidity within 5-cent range of the market's best bid. And it gives a better insight into dark pool data as well. So these are a few interesting things there. I'm not gonna make this whole video about that, but I did want to cover that. So you're gonna see me mentioning that throughout the next few videos, and I'm hopefully gonna be able to show off my Moomoo account and things I'm doing there very soon as well. Just getting all of those kind of set in stone. I don't want to step on any toes there and get in trouble with them. But anyways, going back into the Nasdaq. So really great close here to end the week. I'm going to say now, if you really can hold 18K, 17.95, previous all-time high right there, you look good. You really do. So off rip, you're going to have a little bit of a resistance into this range right here, 18.05, which you kind of already tapped into, and 18.07. Above that, I think you can move into 18.37 with these. So let's be really clear about what's happening here. All you're looking for to start the week, let's make it crystal clear. All you want to happen is a break above this level, retest, and continuation. You have about 200, 300 points of upside after that. Great opportunity. I will also add in here that you kind of made an ascending triangle all day long on the Nasdaq. You saw sellers try to step in. They did nothing. Also, too, we go into some of the data. What's really been happening here? We're going to start with the S&P and go to Qs. But again, really quick, we're going to go over from our Edgeful data over here. We're going to go down to we're going to go to volume really quick by weekday. So again, we're still operating below our average volume. That is worth mentioning on the SPY. As you can see, SPY average volume is like 85, 89 million over the past year. You're at 72 million. You're still going to be processing here in the after hours. You probably get closer to 75, but still that's where you're at. You're still below average. But we saw an uptick in volume, which is something that we wanted to see if you were going to get bullish. Now we go over to Qs. Again, very interesting to see what's happening here because I think tech was the real bright spot. So Friday, obviously Wednesday through Friday, you get your best volume, around 50 million, a little bit over 50 million. So when we go into Qs and look, again, it's important to identify where that volume is really taking place, around 50 million. So very close to almost back to our average. We saw low volume days here yesterday. So again, it's been all over the place. But we're seeing Qs in tech get a lot of that volume, which again, I always like to say tech, because that's what's carried us over the past year when we're being like just completely honest, right? You know, we want to see more names get involved, but ultimately tech has been the focal point. Also, too, going into our levels from yesterday, we said 432.67. Again, go rewatch the video if you need to. Break, gap above, mounting 1, 2. I've not moved these levels. Go watch yesterday's video if you don't believe me. So that's what we're looking at now. You look very good. I think you have room. It's a little choppier here, but I think you can start moving into 440, 441, 440 roughly. SPY, what's happening there? Again, above 508, like I mentioned, it looks really good. This is the exact drawing that I posted in yesterday's video. A break, a retest, and a push back up. That's what you want to see with a circle into our target. I kid you not. Look what happens. You gap up into our target, actually, retest, and push back up. Again, I try to map out just overall what I'm looking at and the key levels. I try not to gatekeep, but it was all there for you. Okay? So again, things you should be looking at and looking for. I also recommend that you're following us on Twitter because I post a lot throughout the day. Like again, today I posted about Meta. I didn't post about Netflix, even though that was my big play that I was looking at in Discord today. And I think it's going to be a big play over the next few days and weeks. Posted about Apple, all of our stocks that we're trading and looking at there as well. So make sure you're tapped in. So again, that's what we're looking at, specifically broad market there. Now I want to dive a little bit deeper, but first let's go over what's happening here with the dollar. Okay, now this is where things get interesting because, again, the Fed meeting, I stand by what I said. And let me go really quick back over some of these key facts of what I said here. I want to be really, really, really clear because these things are all still very true. I want to make sure this is known, right? Okay, unpopular opinion, but I think the Fed meeting was pretty bearish. No idea when rate cuts will come, extreme stress on incoming data, which again, this is the positive though of extreme stress. Okay, extreme stress, but guess what happened? When you perform. Non-farm payrolls much lower than expected, I might add. But guess what? That took us up, right? But I want to add, if data comes out flat or bad, right, it has to come out really good now. If it comes out flat or negative, or against us, right, then you're gonna see sellers step in aggressively. Okay, 3 rate cuts were not on the board. You went from 1 rate cut expected by the end of the year to today off of non-farm payrolls 2 expected. Just shows you how volatile things are going to be from the stress, right? Powell keeps saying rent prices are dropping. That's crazy. I still think that's like the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. But I did add, if I will say, comments on the balance sheet reduction from 60 billion to 25, 30 billion was really good news. Should positively impact yields to the downside. And I will say that you are seeing that. We saw the dollar. It definitely topped out on Wednesday. It did. And if this gets below the 200 SMA, this could start a little bit of a fire because again, it's important to know earnings did good, right? And we know the yields usually lag against the dollar. So if the dollar starts to break down below 200, I think yields will follow. And again, the ultimate goal here is for the 30-year yield to get below 4%. And when that happens, it's going to be explosive. And I think we see a lot of money flow into the market at that point, okay? Just my personal opinion there. So again, yields now have a long way to go down. And do y'all remember what happened in this time period, right? What happened in this time period from basically beginning of November, into essentially the beginning of January, right? Let's just go look at the SPY. What really took place during that time? I mean, I remember. I just want to make sure you remember. The SPY literally went berserk. insane. Let's go look at Q. Tech will give you a better viewpoint because you kind of slowed down a little bit earlier on tech. You literally, from the end of October all the way until, I mean, you went further out, but just into February when yields really bottomed, you pushed up insane. You went from essentially 350 on Qs into 440. A 90-point run on the Qs. Absurd. So I'm just saying, I'm not saying the same thing's going to happen, but if we look at what's happened before, things definitely could get crazy, and they could get crazy fast. Because again, that was the one thing about that meeting that was good, right? Now, Powell did say he thinks the market's in a good place. Those things are good. But the other part of it is that the cuts aren't coming as soon as we think. That's the most important part to understand. But I will say, everything else Powell said, he had a good tone, good, for what it's worth, right? So that's important. And this will help out with the economy, the treasury position there. So again, those are things that will, and again, Apple earnings on top of that were very beneficial to the overall market. So things you should be considering and watching for very closely. Now, let's start going into our stocks, right? I feel like we went over a lot of boring stuff. Now let's get into our juicy stuff first. Now, number one, we're going to go over NVIDIA. So, and also too, if you look at my charts, guys, and you see my indicators, you see everything going on here, our volume, our key levels, things like that. All of these indicators can be found on Lux Algo. The link is down below. We have our custom script down here. We're actually, I just talked to them today. I talked to Sean over there about a new VRVP one for volume, making it easier on the chart so you can find your supply and demand levels even easier. That should be developed sooner than later. But when you use our link, you'll get access to that immediately whenever that does come out. So I want to make sure you know that. But again, the link is down below. Use code OD40 for 40% off. Now let's jump in here quickly. Let's go to the 2 hour or 1 hour. Okay. Now, NVIDIA, we talked about this yesterday. Above 862, we saw 876. Above 876, you had to push into 896. Where you really get bullish, though, on NVIDIA is when you start to break over 924. Okay. Now, this is where things really get interesting. Let's be real clear here, okay? You have two entry opportunities. I think entry number one is way riskier. A break above 906 and a retest. You can try to enter there. I've had a few areas of success there. Okay, I have. But I do want to say it's riskier. The other area is getting above 924. That's your best entry opportunity. 924 has been a brick wall. The last time we mounted it right here, you ended up shooting it from 924 to 966 in the same day. So again, very important to understand where you're at and understanding how you move and kind of how you trade here. So 924 is going to be a massive, massive level. Make sure you're paying attention. NVIDIA has a lot of opportunity, a lot of room, and you're breaking over, previous highs there. So that's good. You're mounting at the end of the day. This is good behavior overall. Now, my favorite name out there right now is probably Netflix. Okay. I ended up holding some of these over the weekend, but again, I got a little bit. I've been grabbing like June contracts for myself. I just don't like having short-dated contracts right now. Anything can happen. I still understand that. But Netflix, my God, I am a massive fan of where you're at. You're getting in this range. You're trying to break them out. Called this one out earlier in Discord. You got above your level here, 876. You came down, touched it, held it, and now you're trying to get back over 580. Target number one's 591, but you also have these gap fills up here near 605. So again, highly, highly, highly likely that we come into these areas, in my opinion. So definitely keep Netflix on your chart. Gotta watch it. Very volatile. And again, I think earnings on Netflix were very bullish. I don't think they were bad. I think that they just said that we expect subscriber growth to slow down. That doesn't mean they're going to make less money. They're still smashing on revenue, EPS. They're making all types of money from the new ad tiers and things like that. They're doing it right. Every other streaming service is getting decimated. Netflix is killing it. So yeah, I think Netflix is a winner. I like it a lot. Number two, Meta. A similar story here. Great earnings, right? We look at earnings, they beat, smashed, EPS, beat, slightly on revenue, but still did good. And the reason they're dropping though, or they did drop, is because of them dumping their money into AI. They said, look, it's going to cost money to get into AI. But I'm telling you right now, Meta, if it gets above and holds above 453, long. I'm telling you right now. Okay. So again, 461.8, let's say 461.8, 461 to 460 to be conservative, then 469, and then you have the gap fill, obviously, but the gap fill is way up here at 484. So again, a lot of room to the upside. I don't think earnings, this is where I get excited, guys, is when you get the market getting back above major key levels, but then on top of that, you had earnings to where the market just priced them wrong, in my opinion. Like, Meta is killing it. Meta is doing, Netflix too, killing it right now, even though the consumer is quote unquote weak, right? So those are things that you have to think about. And then you go to something like Apple, right? And don't get me wrong, like Apple has their iPad event next week and maybe it goes well, but they're missing on earnings. Like, their earnings expectations are so low. Their iPhone sales have never missed like this, like ever. Like, their iPhone sales dropped massively year over year. So again, and this is the first time in history this has happened. So definitely, since like COVID. So definitely keep your head on a swivel though. But like, again, Apple, if it mounts to 200 SMA here, I love it. Like, so I'm looking for the retest of around like 180, 1.2. But again, like, it's stock, love Apple. Love it on the dip. But options, it's so clear where you're finding the value in the broad market. You know what I mean? It's so clear. And again, that's what I focus on, is finding the value. AVGO, I'm kind of going all over the place here because there's a lot of good ones today, right? I have a level right here at 1277. You held it to end the day. AVGO is kind of one of those semiconductors. I talked about it a lot. Don't get me wrong, but when you really trade it, there's a lot of winning potential there. If you've been in Discord, you've seen some big winners on AVGO. Same thing with LRCX, right? I believe you get back above 1295, this thing's running quick. I think it could run easily back into 1355, 13.6. Keep your head on a swivel watching this name as well. But with all semiconductors, the name is really SMH, what you got to watch. And this is what you're watching right about there, that little swing low there. You need to get back above 218, 219. You get back above this, you're pushing. You're pushing with ease, right? So again, you can just see that SR level. All you got to watch, you're making higher lows, you're making higher highs, and since the 22nd of April. So that's good. That's good news as well. Okay. So again, what I'm watching, trying to be patient. That's the opportunity, though. These are the names I'm liking. Again, some of these might not be your favorites, the fan favorites, right? But they're still the ones I like. Okay. Amazon. I told you guys. I said, look, AMD to the downside, Amazon to the upside. Safest. Those were the safest trades on both sides. Amazon didn't even move that great. It really didn't, right? But it's just consistently made higher lows time and time again. 880 mount, back into 888, 887. I think you're easily pushing back an all-time high. What you're looking for here on Amazon, though, is very simple. Extremely simple, right? Get back above 888, 188.7. You get back above that, slap it, because you're going back up. Okay, get a hold above that level, you are cooking. And Amazon too, earnings were great, fantastic. Honestly, earnings between Apple and Amazon shouldn't even be compared. They shouldn't even be compared, right? Amazon kills it. There's no sign of weakness, right? They don't have to do buybacks. Even though they did buybacks, they don't have to. They'll move up just based on their earnings calls. They don't have to do raise their dividends. They don't have to do this. They don't have to do that. They just report the earnings, they smash, and they just continue to churn. That's what you like to see there. So again, these are my top names that I'm watching, top names on the list right now. Okay. Again, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not just searching for views or searching for you guys to follow me. I'm telling you to help you out because you all ask me very similar questions in the comments, but I post a lot on Twitter. I'm trying to get back in the swing of it, like nonstop posting charts, what I'm liking, just ideas, viewpoints. Tap in with me there. And again, if you guys message me and you have a comment on my charts, guys, this is not like a dictatorship. I want to like help you guys, right? Even though Discord's closed, things like that now, right? I still want to have that community aspect with you guys. So again, when you have comments, questions, tap in, guys. I want to help you out. I want to go over. I want to pick your brain. I want you to pick my brain on all these different ideas, right? So again, what I'm viewing, what I'm looking at. If you have questions, comment down below. See you guys on Sunday or Monday. Have a good weekend, traders.